Typically, the majority of 6 and 9 mark questions will expect you to reference case studies to demonstrate your understanding. Using case studies shows that you fully understand the question and can apply your knowledge in the appropriate way. Pupils that can apply the knowledge and evidence from specific case studies will increasingly pick up more marks. Here is my guide when tackling 6 or 9 markers that expect you to use a case study. Identify the issue, identify the command word, link theory to the case study evidence, and then use specific data. First thing to do is read the question carefully. You need to correctly identify the topics for discussion and the command word used. If you want to take a look at the command words used for GCSE geography papers, then click the link above on the description to check out my video looking at the main command words. Once you have identified the issue, you then need to assign the appropriate case study. This is something that I often see pupils get wrong. I regularly have discussions with my students as to why we are studying a topic. What is the context? Where does it fit into the scheme of work or the curriculum? Here is an overview of all the Paper 1 case studies. Section A case studies provide examples of real-life disasters and hazards. It's important you can assign the correct case study to the topic. You should know examples of tectonic hazards, atmospheric hazards, and hazardous weather in the UK. With these examples, you should be able to reference any relevant data such as death or injury rates, environmental damage, or economic recovery costs. Section B requires you to have deep knowledge of different environments and the challenges they face, while Section C looks at specific UK areas and management strategies they have employed. Paper 2 case studies focus on some larger in-depth case studies. Section A looks at urbanisation and what the impact of increasing city populations has on the quality of life of the people living there, as well as the economic and environmental aspects. Again, you need to know what the problems are in these cities and what possible solutions they have implemented. Section B, the changing economic world, focuses on how the state of the economy impacts the development of the country. You should have studied an example of an NEE such as China or Nigeria and be able to reference what the quality of life is like in these countries, as well as the ways they are making improvements in development. When looking at the UK, you should be well aware of how our economy has developed since the Industrial Revolution and what has been done to impact employment and regional growth. You are then required to demonstrate your knowledge of large or small-scale projects to help solve challenges associated with food, water, or energy management in Section C. These 2 example questions show you how you could approach applying a case study to each question. Question 1 is a common question that comes up often in Paper 1. Pupils often get confused and mix up the tectonic hazard case studies and atmospheric hazard case studies. Make sure you are confident with each of them. This question is asking you to discuss a tropical storm. My students have studied Typhoon Haiyan, but other examples such as Hurricane Katrina would also be suitable. Pupils often get the effects and responses mixed up also. This question asks for the effects, so you should try to highlight both primary and secondary to obtain higher marks. Question 2 is again a common question regarding urbanisation challenges. These questions will either focus on LICs and NEEs or HICs. This example question asks you about cities within low-income countries or newly emerging economies. When they require students to discuss a city within a high-income country, you should have studied cities in the UK such as London, Bristol, Liverpool or Birmingham. The majority of students have studied cities such as Rio in Brazil or Lagos in Nigeria. Demonstrating knowledge of the specific social, economic and environmental challenges will also result in higher marks, as well as identifying issues within squatter settlements, also known as slums, shanty towns or favelas. Here are a variety of 9-mark questions. Use your revision notes or the previous information to assign the correct case study to each question. You could also create a short bullet-pointed list of the information you would use in your response. Now, if you want help with your planning and the structure of your responses, then click on the next video where I provide examples of how to use the peel technique. Also, check out my 9-marker resources if you want further practice and examples of how to develop your responses further.